Hello there, welcome to ShineTech's YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to go through Biology Paper 1 multiple choice questions which was written in 2020. So question 1 reads, which of the following is not a characteristic of all living organisms? Which of the following is not a characteristic of all living organisms? A. Excretion, B. Photosynthesis, C. Reproduction, D. Respiration. So, among all these characteristics, the one which is not a characteristic of all living organisms is photosynthesis. Why? Because photosynthesis is only observed in plants. So photosynthesis is only observed in plants, not in all organisms. Excretion is observed in all living organisms. Reproduction involves plants and animals, as well as respiration, but photosynthesis is only in plants. So the correct answer is B. Question 2. The diagram below shows a mesophyll cell of a leaf. A diagram below shows a mesophyll cell of a leaf. So in this diagram here, this is a mesophyll cell of a leaf. Which labeled structure are not found in liver cells of a human being? Which labeled structure are not found in liver cells of a human being? So A, 1 and 2, B, 1 and 4, C, 1 and 5, and D, 3 and 5. So in this diagram here, the labeled structure 1 is the cell wall, which is the outer part of the cell. Then number 2 is the cell membrane, that is the cell membrane. And then number 3 is the nucleus. Number 4 is the cytoplasm. Number 5 is the chlorophyll. So number 1, the cell wall, is only found in plant cells. And chlorophyll, which is number 5, is only found in plant cells. So 1 and 5 is not found in liver cell of human beings, because a human being has what we call animal cells. So the animal cells do not have the cell wall and the chlorophyll, which is 5. So 1 and 5 are not found in liver cells of a human being. So the correct answer here is C. We move on to question 3. So question 3 reads, the diagram below shows an experiment to demonstrate the movement of molecules. So this diagram here is illustrating an experiment to demonstrate the movement of molecules. So we have a beaker with water inside, and then we have inverted thistle funnel. So that is a funnel which has been inverted there. Then we have red ink solution inside the funnel. And then we have a selectively permeable membrane sealed below the fan. So after 1 hour, the water in the beaker turned red. So the water which is inside the beaker there, it turned red. What is the most likely reason for this color change? So what is the most likely reason for this color change? So molecules of A, red ink moved through the membrane by diffusion. Then B, red ink moved through the membrane by osmosis. C, water moved through the membrane by diffusion. And D, water moved through the membrane by osmosis. So where we have a selectively permeable membrane, we are talking about osmosis. So when we have selective permeable membrane, then we have that red ink which is inside there. It moved through a semi-permeable membrane to the solution which is in the beaker there. So meaning we are talking about osmosis. Okay, so here the correct answer for question 3 is A. So the correct answer for question 3 is A. So the red ink moves through the membrane by diffusion. Okay, so it moves through the membrane from the higher concentration in the funnel to the water there by diffusion. So osmosis, we are talking about movement of water from its higher concentration to the region of low concentration by passing through the selective permeable membrane. That is osmosis. But now diffusion, we are talking about a substance moving from a higher concentration to low concentration. Okay, osmosis involves water, but diffusion involves other substances. So the correct answer for question 3 is A. Question 4. So question 4 reads, the diagram below shows the effects of pH on a particular enzyme controlled reaction. So this diagram here is simply showing the effects of pH on a particular enzyme controlled reaction. So you can see here we have the rate of reaction, then this side we have the pH. So the question continues to say, at which point is the enzyme not active? So at which point is the enzyme not active? So you can see at the beginning of the curve, the reaction, the rate of reaction there is 0, between 0 and 1. Then from there at 1, it starts rising. So meaning here the reaction started. So the enzyme here is now active. You can see the curve, the rate of reaction is increasing. Then when it reaches at that point, which is the optimum pH, it starts coming down up until it reaches at 13, where the reaction is now 0. So the point at which the enzyme is not active is the point when it is at 0. That is at 1 and at 13. So the point at which the enzyme is not active is pH 1 and 13. Throughout these other points, the enzyme is active. So the correct answer here is A. So for question 4, the correct answer is A. Question 5. So question 5 reads, which of the following food nutrients would produce a purple color when mixed with burette reagent? A, fat, B, protein, C, reducing sugar, D, starch. So which one among these food nutrients will produce a purple color? So the one which will produce a purple color is protein. So the positive results for protein is a purple color using a burette test. So burette is blue, so when you add it to a protein solution, it will turn purple. And for fats, we use ethanol. So the ethanol mixed with fat, it will turn cloudy. And then for the reducing sugar, we use Benedict solution, which turns brick red. Okay, which turns brick red. For starch, we use iodine solution, and the positive result, the starch will turn blue-black. But for protein, we use the burette test, and the positive result is purple. So the correct answer for question 5 is B. Question 6. Which of the following correctly identifies disorders caused by lack of vitamin C? Which of the following correctly identifies Disorders caused by lack of vitamin C, roughage, and protein. So lack of vitamin C, you suffer from scurvy, which is associated with breeding gums. Then roughage. Okay, so roughage is not digested in the alimentary canal. So what will happen is that it will help to prevent constipation. So if you lack roughage, you have constipation. Then proteins, lack of proteins, you suffer from kwashiorkor. So the correct answer for question 6 is D. Question 7. Which of the following plant nutrients keep all membranes healthy? Which of the following plant nutrients keeps cell membrane healthy? A. Boron, B. Calcium, C. Magnesium, and D. Potassium. So the one which keeps membranes, including the cell wall, is calcium. So calcium keeps the cell membrane healthy. Magnesium is responsible for formation of chlorophyll, and potassium formation of roots. We need calcium in a plant. But for cell membrane, calcium is responsible. The correct answer for question 7 is B. Question 8. The diagram below shows a section through a leaf. Which cell type absorbs the most carbon dioxide during the day? So the cell type which absorbs most carbon dioxide during the day are the palisade cells, which is B. So in this group of cells, you are going to have abundant chlorophyll, which is responsible for trapping sunlight. Okay, so the sun energy for photosynthesis. So they will trap most carbon dioxide, and using the energy and the water, they are going to produce glucose by photosynthesis. We know carbon dioxide is needed for photosynthesis, and the palisade cells are the ones responsible for that. So where we are going to have most carbon dioxide is in this group of cells, which are called palisade cells. So the correct answer here is B. So we move on to question 9. So question 9 reads, the diagram shows a rhizopus. So this is a rhizopus. Which is the part labeled X? So which is the part labeled X? So to answer this question, let's first see the diagram of a rhizopus. So in a rhizopus, you are going to find the sporangium, which is that circular structure, and inside the sporangium, you have the spores. So the spores are shed, then when they land on a substrate, they are going to germinate. Then this longitudinal structure, which is here, it is what we call the stolon. And then from the stolon, we are going to develop what we call the rhizoids, and then from the rhizoids, we have the hyphae. So now, let's go back to our question. So now in this question, the labeled structure is the sporangium. So as we have seen in that diagram, the sporangium is the labeled structure in our diagram. So the correct answer there is C. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. So here, the hyphae is going to secrete enzymes which will degrade the substrate, okay, which will degrade the substrate, and then the substrate will be absorbed by the rhizopus. Okay, so that's how it grows. Then from there, production of spores for reproduction. Okay, so that labeled structure there is the sporangium, which is this circular part there. Okay, so question 9, the correct answer is C. The correct answer is C. Okay, so before we proceed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comment in the comment section to help me continue making videos like this one on YouTube. So we proceed to question 10. So question 10 reads, the following is the dental formula of a dog. So this is a dental formula of a dog. How many molar teeth are there in the upper jaw of this dog. So how many molar teeth? So they're talking about those molar teeth there. So how many are there in the upper jaw? Okay, so for us to answer this question, let's look at the dental formula of a dog in this diagram here. So the upper jaw, this is the upper jaw of a dog. It has 2 molars on the right side, and it also has 2 molar teeth on the other side, that side there. So in total, the upper jaw will have 4 molar teeth. Okay, so it will have 4 molar teeth. So the correct answer here is C. So 10, the correct answer is C. It will have 4, as we have seen in that diagram. Okay, so question 11. The diagram below shows part of the human digestive system. So this diagram is showing a part of the digestive system. As we can see, we have the stomach there, we have the liver, we have the gallbladder there, then we have the pancreas, then we have the part of the duodenum there. Okay, so which of the organs, A, B, C, or D, carries out deamination of excess amino acids? So deamination of excess amino acids takes place in the liver. So the correct answer is B. We are going to have deamination of excess proteins in the liver. Okay, that is option B. So the correct answer here is B, which is the liver. Move on to question number 12. So in question number 12, which of the following correctly identifies part of the respiratory system where gaseous exchange occurs in humans, fish, and insects? Okay, so a gaseous exchange in humans, we know it takes place in the alveoli. Okay, it takes place in the alveoli. Then from there, in the fish, it is that red structure in the head which are called gills. So in the gills, that's where gaseous exchange in the fish will take place. Now in the insects, so in the insects, we have this diagram here which shows the respiratory system of an insect. So on the body or of the insect, okay, we are going to have the opening there, which is called the spiracle. So the spiracle is simply the opening where air or gases gets inside an insect, inside the body cavity of an insect. Then from there, that air will pass through the trachea of an insect. Then it will go in the air sac of the insect. Then finally, it will go to the tracheoles which are connected to the tissues of the insects. Now there, that gas will now exchange. Carbon dioxide will come out, and then oxygen is going to be absorbed inside. So gaseous exchange, it will take place at tracheoles. That's where the exchange of gases takes place. Okay, so at that point, gaseous exchange will take place. So let's go back to our question. So in humans, it is the alveoli. In a fish, it is the gills. Then in the insects is at the tracheoles, as we have seen in that diagram. So the correct answer here for question 12 is A. Question 13. What is produced during aerobic respiration in yeast? What is produced during aerobic respiration in yeast? So an aerobic respiration is respiration where carbon dioxide is not used. So in the absence, it takes place in the absence of oxygen. Okay, so in yeast, mostly it is called alcoholic fermentation. So under alcoholic fermentation, where we use yeast, what is produced is alcohol, okay, alcohol and carbon dioxide. That's what is produced. Okay, so lactic acid is produced in anaerobic respiration, which is called lactic fermentation, but yeast is not used there. So in anaerobic respiration in yeast, lactic acid is not produced, but carbon dioxide is produced. So for question 13, the correct answer is C. Lactic acid is not produced, carbon dioxide is produced. Correct answer there is C. So we move on to question 14. Which of the following is a pathogenic disease? A. Cholera, B. Coronary heart disease, C. Sickle cell anemia, D. Scurvy. Okay, so a pathogenic disease is a disease which is caused by a pathogen, or let's say a microorganism in short. So those microorganisms which cause diseases are called pathogenic or pathogens. So an example of pathogenic microorganisms are viruses, fungi, and bacteria. Okay, so among all these diseases, the one which is caused by a pathogenic disease, a microorganism, is cholera. Cholera is caused by a pathogen called Vibrio cholerae. Vibrio cholerae is a pathogen which causes cholera. But for coronary heart disease, it's not caused by a pathogen. It is caused by blockage of certain coronary arteries which supplies the heart. Then sickle cell anemia, this one is a genetic disease which is caused by mutations of certain genes in the genes which forms hemoglobin. So in the end, we are going to have red blood cells which are sickle cell-like shape. Okay, instead of being like a sphere, you are going to find that the red blood cells appear like this. Okay, which is a sickle-like shape. So this is a genetic mutation. Okay, so it's a genetic disorder. Scurvy, we have already seen it in some of the questions we have looked at. It is not a pathogenic disease, but instead it is a deficiency disease where you lack vitamin C. So the correct answer here for question 14 is A. Vibrio cholerae is a pathogen which causes cholera. So a pathogenic disease here is cholera. Question 15. Which conditions of humidity, light intensity, and temperature below make transpiration rate highest? So for transpiration rate to be highest, humidity, which is water vapor in the atmosphere, should be low. Okay, then light intensity should be high and the temperature must be high, so that the transpiration rate will be high. Okay, so the humidity will be low, light intensity will be high, and the temperature must be high. So the correct answer here is A. Remember, transpiration is simply the process by which water is moving up the plant to the leaf here. Okay, so when it reaches the leaf, some of the water is lost in the atmosphere. Okay, so some of the water is lost in the atmosphere. Okay, so that water vapor is what we call humidity. So if humidity is high here, okay, it is going to block the water vapor to escape from the stomata. Okay, so that's why humidity must be low. Temperature must be high, so that the water is turned into vapor at a very higher rate. Okay, so transpiration will be highest when humidity is low, light intensity will be high, and temperature is high. So the correct answer for question 15 is A. Question 16. Which of the following components is responsible for the clotting of blood? A. Erythrocytes, B. Lymphocytes, C. Phagocytes, and D. Platelets. So the one which is responsible for clotting is platelets. So platelets are responsible for clotting of blood. Then phagocytes, these are white blood cells, and lymphocytes are white blood cells. Erythrocytes are red blood cells. So the correct answer here is D for question 16. Question 17. The diagram below shows the human circulatory system. So this is a human circulatory system. And then the question continues to say, which of the parts A, B, C, or D carries oxygenated blood at lower pressure? So we have the tissues here receives blood from the aorta, and then the blood is taken back to the heart via the inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, and then from there we have the pulmonary artery taking blood to the lungs. Then the lungs will now pass the blood to the right atria into the left atria, then left atria into the left ventricle, and now into the aorta. So the one which carries blood at lower pressure is the one which carries blood is the one these vessels which comes from the lungs. So from the lungs there we don't have a pump, so the blood will come here to the left atria at a very lower pressure. Why? Because there in the lungs we don't have a pump. The one which pumps blood is the heart. Okay, so the correct answer there is B, which is the pulmonary vein. So this is a vein bringing blood to the heart. Okay, so the correct answer here is B. Question 18. The table below shows the percentage composition of some chemicals found in blood entering the kidney of a healthy person. So we have the glucose levels is 0.1, protein is 8, and urea is 0.03. So what is the percentage composition of the above chemicals in the urine of the healthy person? So in the urine of a healthy person here, we should have no glucose. Glucose in the urine shouldn't be there, so glucose must be 0 and proteins must be 0. But the concentration of urea in urine is high. That's what you should know. Concentration will increase in urine. Okay, so urea is the waste product which should be eliminated, so the concentration will be high. So the correct answer here is A for question 18. Question 19. The diagram below, the graph shows the air temperature and body temperature during a 24-hour period. So this graph is showing air temperature and body temperature during a 24-hour period. Okay, so which mechanism may help to maintain the body temperature between 18 hours and 24 hours? So we have 18 hours here to 24 hours during that period. So during that period we can see the body temperature is maintained, but the air temperature here it was high, then immediately it was high, it started dropping down. So during the period from 18 to 24, we could see the temperature here reducing from 40 somewhere there to 20. So meaning in this period it was cold, it was getting cooler here, it was getting cold. So the processes which led to the maintenance of body temperature there should be the ones which prevent the body from losing heat, heat energy. So the correct answer here is vasoconstriction. So during when it is cold, the blood vessels on the arterioles on the skin surface, they are going to vasoconstrict. They are going to vasoconstrict, meaning if it was larger like this, they will become very small, preventing blood from flowing on the skin surface so that the body preserves the heat which is inside the body. Okay, so when the vessel on the skin are larger like this, meaning the blood which will flow here will be more, the volume of blood which will flow on the skin will be high, so the heat in the blood vessel can be lost easily. Okay, so what happens when it is getting cold, the blood vessels will vasoconstrict, preventing blood from flowing beneath the skin so that the heat energy is preserved. So here vasoconstriction of arterioles near the skin is what was happening there when the temperature was reducing so that heat energy is preserved to maintain the body temperature. So the correct answer for question 19 is C. Question 20. The diagram shows the endocrine glands in human being. So which hormones are produced by glands R, S, and T? So let's identify these glands. So R there is the pituitary gland, which is the master gland which controls all the glands in the human body. Then you have the S there on top of the kidneys. You are going to find the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands are going to secrete what we call adrenaline. So adrenaline is responsible for helping us in dangerous situations or when we are stressed. So they are going to be released, then they will help us when we are afraid or when we are stressed. So they are also called flight and fight hormones. Then on T, we can see the pancreas there. So the pancreas will secrete insulin. So R can secrete ADH, which is antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone is responsible for water retention in the kidney. Okay, then S is the adrenaline, which is secreted by the adrenal gland, and T is the pancreas and it secretes insulin. So the correct answer for question 20 is A. Move on to question 21. Okay. So question 21 reads, the diagram below shows a reflex arc. So this is a reflex arc. Okay, so what is the correct order of passage of nerve impulse after the knee is tapped? So this is a knee here. So after it has been tapped there, what is the path of the impulses, okay, after it had been tapped? So what you should understand here, for you to answer this question correct, you must know the features of certain neurons. So more especially the sensory neuron. So the sensory neuron, it has a cell body in between. Okay, so this is the diagram showing different neurons in the central nervous system. So we have the sensory neuron. It will always have a cell body in between. Okay, and then we have the relay neuron. So the relay neuron is short and mostly it is found in the spinal cord. Then we have the motor neuron. Then the motor neuron has a cell body at the end there. But for the sensory, it has a cell body in between the axon. Okay, so this whole tail is the axon, but in between the axon, we have the cell body. But in the motor neuron, the cell body is at the end there. Okay, so coming back to our question. Okay, so we have the sensory. It has a cell body, you can see there. So from where here, where the tap is made, so we're going to have a passage through the sensory, which is senses the pain, to the relay in the spinal cord there. Okay, and then from there it comes back to the muscle. So the one which comes to the muscle here is the motor neuron. But remember, identify the cell body there for you to know that that is the sensory. So the sequence here is 4, 1, then 2, then 3, which is the muscle. So the correct answer here is 4, 1, 2, then 3, which is C. So question 21, the correct answer is C. Okay, so we move on to question 22. So question 22 reads, which role do the ciliary muscle, suspensory ligaments, and lens play to focus a nearby object? Okay, which role do the ciliary muscle, suspensory ligaments, and lens play to focus nearby object? So the ciliary muscle, when focusing nearby objects, they are going to contract. Okay, and then after that, the suspensory ligaments are going to loosen. Then the lens becomes fat. So when you see nearby object, the lens becomes fat. Okay, so the correct answer there is A. So as we can see in this diagram here, When you are seeing a distant object, the ciliary muscle, which is that muscle there which holds the lens, so that muscle there, okay, when you are seeing a distant object, it is going to relax. Then when it relaxes, the suspensory ligament there, so we have the lens, then we have the suspensory ligaments, then we have the ciliary muscle that side. So the ciliary muscle here, they are going to relax when you are seeing a distant object. Then these suspensory ligament there, they are going to shorten. So when they are going to pull the lens that side, and this one will pull the lens this side. Then this lens will become flattened. That is when you are seeing the distance object. And then the opposite is true for near object. So the lens here in a near object, what will happen is that this suspensory ligament will be loosened, and then the ciliary muscles there, they are going to contract. So when they contract, they will push this lens like that, as shown in this diagram here, and this lens will become fat. Okay, it will become fat. So that's why we are saying the correct answer here is the ciliary muscle. When you are seeing near object, it will be contracted, then the suspensory ligament to loosen, and the lens will become fat. So the correct answer there is A. Question 23. Which of the following correctly identifies the type of and compositions of the skeleton of an insect? So in an insect, we have what we call an exoskeleton, and the composition is chitin. The correct answer here is C. Question 24. In an experiment to investigate phototropism, a plant shoot is grown with light coming from one side only. So we have this plant shoot, then we have light coming from one side only. This is at the start of experiment. After 2 days, we are seeing this plant bending in that direction. So the question continues to say, which region has the greatest growth after 2 days? So the region which has the greatest growth is region D. In region A, we have cell division. So cells there, they're just dividing in small. Okay, they are getting small. But here in D, we have cell elongation. So the cells here are elongating. So here we are going to observe maximum growth. Why? Because the cells are elongating. They are just dividing in the shoot. Then here in this region, which is D, they are elongating. So maximum growth is going to be observed where the cells are elongating. They are becoming long and larger in size. Okay, so the correct answer there is D. Question 25. Which environmental condition is not essential for the germination of seeds? Okay, A, availability of light, B, availability of oxygen, C, availability of water, D, suitable temperature. So temperature is needed for germination, water is needed. That's why we plant seeds during the rain season. Why? Because water is needed. Oxygen is also needed, but light is not needed during germination. That's why we put the seed in the ground. So light is not needed. The correct answer here is A. Light is not needed. Question 26. The diagram below shows a type of asexual reproduction in a bacteria. So this is asexual reproduction in a bacteria. What type of asexual reproduction is illustrated above? So in this diagram here, the reproduction which is illustrated is binary fission. So in binary fission, we're going to have a parent cell dividing into 2 equal daughter cells. The cells which are produced are equal in size, and they carry the same genetic information. But in budding, we're going to have a big organism, and then it will bud a small daughter cell there. So the daughter cell is small, but the parent cell is big, that is in budding. Then in fragmentation here, what will be observed is that we are going to have, like for example in this diagram here, you have this parent cell. Okay, it is cut into small fragments, and those fragments, each of them becomes a daughter organism that is under fragmentation. Okay, but the one which is shown on this diagram, where we have two daughter cells which are equal in size, is what we call binary fission. So the correct answer here is A. Question 27. The diagram shows a plant that is producing small plantlets. Okay, so this is a mother plant. It is producing plantlets. Which statement about the plantlets is correct? So which statement is correct? So they are A, genetically different from the parent, B, genetically identical to the parent plant, C, produced as a result of fusion of nuclei, D, produced by fertilization by the flower. So these plants here are genetically identical to the parent plant. They are genetically identical to the parent plant. They originate from the parent, so they are genetically identical. No fertilization is taking place here. Okay, they are genetically identical, so the correct answer there is B. Question 28. Flowers show adaptation to wind or insect pollination. Which of the following adaptations are found in a wind-pollinated flower? So in a wind-pollinated flower, we are going to have a loosely attached anther, and then we are going to have the nectar is absent, and the petals are dull colored. The petals are needed for self-pollinated flower, and those which are pollinated by insects to attract those insects and those birds. But for wind pollination, we do not need petals, bright petals, so they are dull in color. Then the stigma is outside, so we're going to have the stigma is outside the flower, so that when the pollen grains are blown in the air, can easily attach to the stigma in wind pollinated flower. So the correct answer here for question 28 is D. Question 29. Which method of fruit dispersal occurs in coconut plants? So in coconut plants, the type of seed dispersal which is observed is animal dispersal. Question 30. The diagram below shows the male reproductive system. So this is the male reproductive system. Which part produces testosterone? So testosterone is a hormone which is produced in males, and it is produced by the testicles. So the testicles, which is D, produces testosterone. Okay. So question 31. Which structure is involved in the transfer of dissolved nutrients from the mother to the fetus? A, kidney, B, the liver, C, placenta, D, stomach. So the organ or structure which is responsible for transferring dissolved nutrients from the mother to the fetus is the placenta. So we are going to have the placenta here, and then we are going to have the umbilical cord, then we are going to have a baby here. Okay, so now this structure here is the one which transfers, which is involved in transfer of which is involved in the transfer of dissolved nutrients. So the placenta is the correct answer for question 31. Question 32. Which of the following methods of contraception works by inhibiting the production of follicle-stimulating hormone in the pituitary gland? So the one which inhibit follicle-stimulating hormone in the pituitary gland is the contraceptive pill. So the contraceptive pill is the hormonal way of preventing pregnancy. So it will inhibit the pituitary gland from releasing what we call follicle-stimulating hormone. So this follicle-stimulating hormone, it will go to the ovary, stimulate it to release the follicle, okay, which is fertilized by the sperm. Condom is the barrier method. It doesn't involve the hormones. Intrauterine device, it's a device which is put in the uterus to prevent the sperm to reach the ovum. Vasectomy, it is done mostly in males mostly, and it involves the cutting of the sperm duct. So you cut the sperm duct to prevent the sperms from coming out of the penis, from the testicles, from the epididymis. So the correct answer here for question 32 is contraceptive pills. They are the hormonal way of contraception, okay, and they inhibit the follicle-stimulating hormone. So question 33. Which of the following characteristics is an example of discontinuous variation in hormone in humans? A. Height. B. Length of foot. C. Tongue roaring. D. Weight. So in discontinuous variation, we do not have intermediates. We do not have intermediate C numbers, but we have numbers which are discrete, which are grouped into two groups or in two different groups without intermediates. And mostly the graph is shown by a bar chart or an histogram. Okay, so let's say this is for example blood groups. Blood group A, blood group B, and blood group O and AB. So we do not have people who fall in between A and B or in between O and B, but we have discrete groups in discontinuous. So among these examples which I have given here, the one which is discontinuous is tongue roaring. Okay, why? Because in tongue roaring, we have those who cannot roar their tongue, they will fall in one group, and those who can roar their tongue, they fall in another group. We do not have intermediates. Those who are in between, we do not have them in tongue roaring. But for height, we can have any number. You can have a height of 1 meter, 2 meter, and in between you can have 1.2 meters, 1.3. So we do not have a complete discrete groups. Okay, but here the correct answer is tongue roaring is a discontinuous variation. Question 35. Question 34. Okay, so question 35. So question 35 reads, which of the following four vertebrates is in the table is a reptile? Okay, so question 34 in short. So question 34 reads, a couple produces a child who is an albino. Albinism is a condition in which skin pigment is made. What is the chance that the next child will be an albino? So this is a couple. It has produced one child who is an albino. So in this case, this couple is normal. So for them to produce an albino child, meaning they are carriers. So what is the chance that their next child will be an albino? So the chance can be drawn like this. So we have these parents who are carriers. So let's say they represent them with A. Then this side we have AA. So A represents the normal, and the small letter A represents an carrier, an allele for albinism. Okay, so these parents were normal because they were carriers. We have the dominant allele for normal pigment, but they are carrying a gene for albinism. So when we cross these, we are going to have a normal child with capital letter A's. If we cross that one with that, we are going to have a carrier child. Then this one with this, we are going to have a carrier child. Then this one with that one, we are going to have an albino. So the percentage chance out of 100, it is 25. So 25, 25, 25, 25, we make 100. So out of 100, we only have 1/4, which is 25. So the correct answer here is 25, which is B. Question 35. So question 35 reads, which of the following 4 vertebrates in the table is a reptile? So reptiles have scales. Okay, they can have scary skin, not scales, but they have a scary skin. And then apart from that, they have no hair. Reptiles do not have hair. They have 4 limbs. For example, a crocodile is a reptile, so it has 4 limbs. Then it has a tail. So the correct answer here is A. Question 36. Which of the following soil type has the highest nutrient content? So among these types of soil, the one which has high nutrient content is loam soil. Loam soil has high nutrient content. Question 37. The diagram shows a pyramid of biomass for all organisms in an ecosystem. Which organisms are carnivores? So in the first biggest phase there, we have the producers, which are the green plants or the plants first there, then followed by herbivores, which feeds on S, which feeds on plants. So Q feeds on R, so Q feeds on other animals, which is a carnivore is an organism which feeds on another organism, okay, on another fresh organism or another animals in short. So more or less like a lion is a carnivore. We have a cheetah is a carnivore, a hyena is a carnivore. So in that group Q we have carnivores. Then on P as well we can have carnivores which can feed on Q. So P and Q are carnivores. The correct answer there is A. Question 37. Question 38. So question 38 reads, the diagram below represents the carbon cycle. So this is the carbon cycle. What process is represented by letter R? So letter R there, we have plants here. They are producing carbon dioxide in the air. Then they also absorb certain carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Okay, so when plants gets carbon dioxide, that is photosynthesis, they will use it for photosynthesis. But during respiration, when they break down glucose to produce energy, they will release carbon dioxide. So the letter X there represents respiration, which is D. Question 38, the answer is D. Question 39. Overuse of fertilizer on huge farms near water bodies cause the chemicals in the fertilizer to be washed into ponds and lakes. This causes eutrophication, resulting in the following events. Number 1, we have algae bloom. 2, fish die. 3, massive growth of bacteria. And 4, oxygen depletion. In which order do these events occur? So these events, they occur in this event. So we'll start by algae bloom. Okay, algae will bloom. Okay, and then from there we are going to have massive growth of bacteria. So bacteria will grow after algae bloom. Then after that we are going to have now oxygen will be depleted. Why? Because these bacteria and that algae bloom will deplete the oxygen, which is number 4. And if the oxygen is depleted, the fish will die. So the correct answer here is A for question 39. Question 40. Which activity will be least likely to lead to the extinction of species? So the activity which will lead to extinction of species is conservation. If you conserve certain species, they will be preserved for some time, but deforestation, use of herbicide and pesticide kills organisms, kills species, but conservation will preserve. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comment in the comment section below.